This is just the beginning. With the support of President Trump, Vice President Vance, Acting Attorney General Blanche, Chairman Ferguson and the White House Anti-Fraud Task Force, Secretary Kennedy, Dr. Oz and his team, and the entire federal fraud-fighting apparatus, the Department of Justice will continue expanding our reach across the country to pursue all fraud, no matter how large, no matter how small, no matter how hard. Since April 1st, DOJ's Fraud Division has announced over 450 fraud enforcement actions nationwide, representing billions of taxpayer dollars. And this week already, we're delivering results coast to coast with a trial conviction in Brooklyn involving a $40 million drug distribution and fraud scheme, and a trial conviction in Los Angeles involving a $40 million Botox injection fraud scheme. To expand our reach, we are announcing today the expansion of the healthcare fraud Midwest Strike Force to Minnesota and the hiring of 15 additional prosecutors dedicated to combating Medicaid fraud nationwide. These additional resources will ensure that the DOJ's Fraud Division will be better equipped to stop fraud and hold criminals accountable.
What we've seen in this, the Fraud Division should be their biggest division in the DOJ. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about JD Vance doing a speech talking about what kind of repercussions has happened since this fraud in Minnesota been going on for years.
We'd appreciate if you'd subscribe, like, and share. It's totally free, and it's a huge boost to the channel.
Just like all of you, I was shocked last December when I watched Nick Shirley's bombshell investigation of migrant fraud in Minnesota, which called attention to the now infamous Quality Learning Center instead of learning and other schemes across that state. This morning, the ringleader of the $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud scheme in Minnesota was sentenced in federal court to over 40 years in prison, bringing justice to the countless school children and families she had scammed. And on top of that, today, federal law enforcement launched a massive raid in Minneapolis. Across the city, agents have arrested 15 people for suspected fraud that amounted to $90 million. This includes two of the largest Medicaid fraud cases in Minnesota history, as well as the largest autism fraud scheme ever charged by the U.S. federal government. With this action, we're bringing justice to some of America's most vulnerable citizens and justice to the...
Now, you got to think, what kind of person do you have to be to steal from kids and also hurt people and claim that they have autism when they don't? What kind of person do you have to be? And there's only one option, a non-moral person. You don't care about other people. The only thing you care about is yourself. And that's the reason these people, in my opinion, vote Democrat. Majority of these people vote Democrat because if you look at the states where this is happening at and the places it's happening at in these states, most of them, they're run by Democrats.
Yeah, it's a sad reality, isn't it?
The American taxpayer. In 2018, Minnesota tried to provide housing services for the homeless. They estimated that the cost of the program would be $2.5 million a year. By 2024, the program had exploded to $104 million annually, and almost all of it was because of fraud. As a result, the state had to shut down the program and can no longer provide those services to Americans in need. So we've got homeless veterans sleeping on the streets because fraudsters got rich. But it's not just the homeless who are the victims of these fraudsters. The victims in the cases announced by DOJ today also include disabled Americans who rely on community support to live full, independent lives, and citizens for whom defrauding such programs is literally a matter of life and death. In one of the most horrifying cases charged today, a recipient who needed 24-hour care was supposed to be receiving exactly that through a Minnesota Medicaid benefit program. But he received nothing. No care, no services, nothing for months on end. And then he went quiet.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think our veterans deserve better than that. And these people that do stuff like that, When I first heard this woman got 40 years in prison, my first reaction was like, that's a long sentence. That's what I was thinking. But then if you look at the people that are hurting, they deserve it for what they have done. And what they're doing is stealing from the American people, but they're also stealing these benefits from people that deserve them, that worked for them, that actually defended our country and got hurt. And now it's our job to take care of them. And unfortunately, these people are stealing from them as well.
Yeah, that's the central issue here. People who actually qualified for the benefits couldn't get them because of theft. And you're exactly on point. It seems like a really harsh prison sentence, but two things. Remember, we're talking about $250 million, and we're talking about a lot of suffering from people who didn't need to suffer. The system was set up to protect them, but it was broke because it kept getting ripped off by fraudsters. And you can't, if you show mercy and give this woman who got 41 years, if you give her 3 or 4 years in prison, well, I mean, do the math for yourself. If the risk benefit is 3 or 4 years in prison versus hundreds of millions of dollars in your pocket, if you're an immoral person, it's worth taking the risk. We can't have that.
For 2 days, a neighbor tried to check on him, knocking on his apartment door. Nothing. Shortly after, he was found dead. One day before this man died, the fraudster in question had tried to bill for the non-existent services, the services that if they had been provided, this man might actually be with us today. To get rich off taxpayers, even at the cost of others' lives, just as that fraudster had for many months before. This kind of behavior is sickening. It's disgusting. It's an affront to all of us as Americans. And today we're saying clearly, no more. Our message is simple. If you're committing fraud, our task force will find you. We'll come after you, and we will not rest until justice is served. Don't defraud the American taxpayer. Don't get rich by trying to steal from them, or we are going to come after you until justice is served. That's our promise, and we're going to stick to it.
There's a real threat here now because JD Vance is in charge of this, and they're actually holding people accountable. So, as I said before, the benefit cost, it doesn't work out when they're handing out 4-decade prison sentences. And look, you just heard, and this is just one case of a man dying because he was denied these services someone else was billing for. That is crazy. It has to stop. And the only way to do that is to actually harshly punish the people who are caught stealing.
Yeah, one thing I have to say is I think JD Vance is doing a really good job with this task force, being head of it, being actual voice for it about how they're doing it and what they're doing. And they're doing a great job. They've arrested 450 people so far since April 1st. I'm sure it's going to get up by the end of the year to the thousands of people that are involved in this stuff. And they're arresting people that steal $250 million to anywhere from $250,000. And that's how it should be. Because the thing is, if you allowed, like we did allow at one time, people steal $1 million because, hey, it's not worth going after them. If it's only $1 million, then at that point, they're just going to nickel and dime you to death. And it's time for it to end. And I'm glad this is happening. I'm hoping it keeps on going. But here's my problem with this whole thing. They need to go after people that are facilitating it as well. That's the politicians. If you don't do that, they will find people dumb enough to actually keep on doing this to get them that money into their coffers so they can run for office again. And that is how they're facilitating it. And that's how they're actually, in my opinion, encouraging it and benefiting from it. It needs to stop as soon as possible. And you need to make one of these politicians an example of what happens. Just like they did to this woman, they got 40 years. You need to make an example of a person that's actually facilitating it as well.
Yeah, like, and Keith Ellison, the Attorney General in Minnesota, is a perfect example of this. He is on, video or tape, audio, saying, I'm going to get rid of this complaint. I'm going to get rid of that complaint. You're going to have protection. You can keep on stealing. Look at, if you don't hold that guy accountable, you'll just get another guy with the same moral character after he's gone. And if we have that, it never stops.
All right, guys, that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed. Please hit that like button, comment, and share this out to everybody.
Thanks for being here.